Hi, everybody. Welcome to our special edition of Draining the Swamp. Arthur will not make it tonight. He was feeling under the weather. He texted me just a little bit ago. And so, y'all just hold him up in your prayers. And how are you feeling, Mel?
I'm feeling better. I'm back to work, but I'm only seeing like three clients in the mornings. And then when I get home, and the doctor told me this what happened, he said, you'll get some energy and then you'll want to lay down for 2 or 3 hours. So when I got home, I took a nap and I woke up in time just to get a little bite to eat. I still have to eat small amounts, otherwise it kind of nauseates me.
Yeah.
And so, I get my burst of energy, but when we're done here tonight, then I'll go lay down again. But I see Linda Grindle in the house.
Yeah. Well, she's a member now anyway.
Go, girl.
Shocked me. I was like, whoa, when did Linda become a member?
Um,
So that was very sweet of her. I really appreciate it. Like I was saying on Sisters earlier, I was telling Mel, I said she sent me a text this morning. One of the Trish James decks that we've all been waiting to come out, she finally got it today. And I was like, I was so jealous. I wanted that deck.
Nice to have people in high places, huh?
I'm telling you. And Marina is having Trish James on tomorrow night as her guest to talk about her decks and how what spurred her on to create them and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. It'll be kind of late though. It'll be 10 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock at night, because she's like 14 hours ahead of us where Trish James is.
Where
So
is she?
um, in Australia, New Zealand, something like that. Yeah, so she's like on the other side of the world. And so yeah, and I also wanted to bring up, if you want to contact Mel, you can go to his YouTube, you go to his website, meldorr.com, MELDOERR.com, or you can go to his YouTube channel, or you can call his office at 847 590 5411. I'm finally getting caught up here.
There we go.
And he's got his Peru trip in September. You still have openings for that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And his Iceland trip in October.
I need three more people for Iceland, so
Oh, wow.
hopefully we can get
One
it.
of these years I'm going to make it. And of course, we want to showcase Andrew Niki. His skincare is fantastic. Go and check
I
it
was,
out.
I was at my office today and I put some on my hand. I put all the serums and I mixed them together. And I was rubbing on my face. And I talked to Andrew a couple of days ago, and he said to tell you and Linda and Arthur hello. And still tells the story about when you were behind the scenes and you came on. He said, I had this spot and it took it away. Um, so,
It's right here. You can barely see it now. Of course, makeup kind of covers it up some, but it was getting to where even makeup wouldn't cover it. And then I started using his products, and I guess about a week or so went by, and I was like putting makeup on one morning. And I thought, wait a minute, that's I can barely see it. It took me a minute to realize that it was starting to fade out. So I'm waiting for his dark spot remover to be ready so I can get that one.
I
And
do think that some of the serums are sold out. So I think now there's like a 4 week back order on them. So if you want to order and if they say they're sold out, don't not
yeah,
order.
go ahead and order it and just back order it. Yeah.
Back
So
order it. That's all.
and absolutely. But it's wonderful stuff, and it's not any more money than what you would pay if you went to Walgreens or CVS or any of the other beauty stores or anything where you're going to pay a heck of a lot more money for a product that doesn't work as good, and it's not guaranteed to not be animal tested or anything like that. And all of Andrew's stuff is clean and clear. He doesn't do any of that stuff with it. So um, that's a good thing for as far as I'm concerned. So
And me too. They don't use animals for research or anything. Nothing animal.
yeah, exactly. I want to take a quick peek here.
There's some things that I think we could start out with.
Yeah, let's see, I've got a couple of starred items here. And
I see somebody gave you, Joe Bond gave $5.
$5. I know. I was like, oh, that's so sweet. Uh,
While you're
let's
scrolling,
see.
I just want to bring up, my guides that show me, and we talked about this on Linda's show and your show, and I think Arthur's show and Kevin's show as well, that it would be our courts really to save our democracy. And right before we came on, I Googled breaking news, and boy, Trump got smashed in court today because federal court ruled that Trump doesn't have the authority under the Economic Emergency Legislation Act to impose his sweeping global tariffs. So essentially, everything, all those tariffs that he's done, pretty much all of them since he's been in office, they say you don't have the authority for that.
Right,
So,
because that's supposed to go through Congress. Congress has to do that.
and well, my
And
guides had shown me that the courts would step in and say he can't get by with these tariffs, and here we are. Of course, he'll want to get it to the Supreme Court right away. It doesn't take a psychic to figure that one out. But intuitively, I think that the Supreme Court will uphold the decision of the lower court and say, no, we're just going to uphold the decision of the lower court. So that's what I see.
yeah,
I don't know what your take on it is.
yeah. No, I pretty much feel the same way. I think right now our courts are about the only thing that's kind of saving our bacon. And it the feeling that I get real strong is that Roberts, as Chief Justice, is not only very upset that I get the feeling that he got backed into a corner of giving Trump the the immunity and some of the other things that he voted okay on. But at the same time, I feel like he's now looking at the fact that his legacy of running the court is going down the toilet fast. And that's not what he wanted to have happen. He wanted to go out with a bang. Well, he's going to go out with a bang, but not the kind of bang he thought. So,
well, he's going to go out with a big bang.
yeah, exactly. And so I'm hoping that maybe he grows another set and decides to stand up for what's wrong, for what's right.
Well, the other thing is what Trump is trying to do now. That big, beautiful bill, they're going to strip the part out that would give him immunity from the courts holding him in contempt. That part will be taken out. The other
Yeah,
thing is now he's trying to push through something to say that with presidential immunity, anybody around him or under him or something is also immune from prosecution. So he's trying that role. And the courts are going to say no. What my guides are telling me is coming is that there's going to be another case going to the Supreme Court about presidential immunity, and they're going to try to put the tiger back in the cage. In other words, they're going to say that he doesn't have complete immunity and that the things he's doing, he's not immune from prosecution on. Because what
yeah,
he's doing with all of these pardons, there's this tsunami of pardons. That couple that he pardoned, and
yeah.
you
And
know,
some sheriff he pardoned that was
yeah.
taking bribes and like,
Well, if they spent $1 million to come to his dinner or something, they got pardoned.
yeah,
But now he's doing it because he's saying it's a presidential act. But my feeling is some of this is going to go to the Supreme Court, and they're going to say it wasn't a presidential act. So no, those pardons aren't valid. And there's going to be people coming out saying for sure that they paid for those pardons. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but my guides are telling me that will make the pardon illegal, and that
yeah,
those pardons could very
It
easily.
can be overturned. Yeah.
That's what I see. So,
Yeah.
there's this
Um,
whole wave of pardons. And now I understand they're revoking visas of Chinese students.
yeah, I can't keep up with. Over the weekend, Nath of the Third Wish, he and I do twice a month. We meet, once on my channel, once on his channel. And once a month, we'll do a recorded show and do a deep dive into a topic. And this past weekend, we decided to try to go into Trump's energy, into his brain, and look at things from his perspective. I'm afraid I went a little deeper than I meant to because I'm still kind of new at doing that. Ooh, it was like I had the willies the rest of the day. I had the creepy crawlies. It took hours for me to kind of shake it off. I wasn't prepared for that. I just thought I would take a peek and see what he was thinking and then jump right back out again. And yeah, that didn't happen. But his brain is squirrely. I mean, like terrifyingly squirrely to the point that I was like, holy moly, man, this man is dangerous beyond what we all thought. And the amount of hatred and revenge that he feels
You
towards
know, you know,
everybody is terrifying.
well, as long as whenever you speak up against them or go against them, what it reminds me of when you were kids and you go to the carnival and you get on the tilt-a-whirl and you could just grab one little glimpse of something because you're spinning so quickly. Whenever I hook into him, that's what I feel like. I'm on a tilt-a-whirl and I can't get off of it.
Yeah. Yeah, like a whirling dervish. That's the word
Exactly.
that popped in my
Yeah.
head. Yeah, it's like you're spinning, spinning, spinning. And it was fairly frightening to put it bluntly. It was like I don't want to do that again. Um so but it was something new I was trying. Let's see, we got a few questions here that were asked. Julian Newell um, wanted to know if this summer is going to be bad for the GOP leaders and Trump.
I think
Something's going to happen towards the end of summer.
I see a lot of these elections, small elections in certain states that have traditionally been really red, in the deep South and other places. They're going to go blue. So I see a blue tsunami. It's going to go bad for the
Yeah.
GOP, but specifically for the MAGAs. Um, a lot of whistleblowers coming out, a lot of stuff coming to the surface.
Yeah.
The media, the only media that are telling any semblance of the truth is MSNBC. The rest of them just, they kind of whitewash everything. And so if you want to look at the true story, you got to go on social media,
Yeah. I
but
mean, it's like I watched the Midas Brothers. There are several others that are on that I'm just going blank on their names right now.
there's the
Um,
Bulwark with Tim Miller. There's
yeah, Bulwark, that's a good one. There's Occupy Democrats.
there's
They do
Democrats,
some good shows.
Lincoln Project.
Um, Lincoln Project does really good shows.
There's one with George Conway.
And they're kind of coming from the other side. I mean, they were all stalwart Republicans until,
There's one with George Conway,
yeah,
Glenn Kirshner. You know,
yeah. I
Cohen.
know,
He's a young guy.
uh,
Cohen, I
what's his
think of his name.
what's his name? The Raging Cajun. Damn, I'm going blank on his name now. He worked for Bill Clinton. He was Bill Clinton's mouthpiece when Clinton ran.
Oh, James Carville.
Thank you, James Carville. I just went blank on his name.
Carville.
And yeah, he's an LSU guy, so I have to forgive him for that. But because LSU is our like main conflict down here at our school. So, but yeah, it's yeah. There's Legal AF with Popak. That's really good. I've learned more stuff about the law in the last 10 years than I ever thought I would ever want to know. And it's fascinating as all get out.
It is. So I think it's
It
going to be a
really
bad,
is.
I think it's going to be,
Um,
I think it's going to be a bad summer for the MAGAs. Absolutely.
yeah. Well, I know a bunch of readers have been feeling something
Big,
happening,
something huge.
something really big is going to happen towards the end of summer. I haven't been shown an exact date, and whenever I've looked, it's always been not like winter time. It's been like warm weather, the way it just looks in my vision. So um, I'm thinking sometime this summer something's going to happen. And let's see.
So
Um,
Suki Lau
try,
just said, oh, I
trying
just,
to
and
star.
Suki Lau just, I can't star anything, but she says, oh, I just came in, something wrong with Arthur. I hope out of so he feels better. He's just having some reflux issues, so he's taking it easy.
Yeah, just his stomach is upset. He was
Uh,
real nauseous.
reflux issues, yeah.
Yeah, so I told him, I said, man, take whatever you need to take, your medicine, and go to bed. He's, don't worry about it. Mel and I got it, no problems. And but yeah, we'll be, okay, here's a question somebody I hadn't thought about in a while. Kara wanted to know if Edward Snowden is working for Putin. Well, yeah, why do you think he lives there? I mean, when he first started his business, I thought, oh my, he's let loose with some stuff. And then he took off for Russia, and then that put up like all the alarm bells went off in my head. I was like, okay, this
I'm sure
guy's
he's
working
got
for the
some
other
kind of
team.
I'm sure he's got some kind of under the table alliance with Putin for entertainment purposes only.
Absolutely, absolutely, because he got put up in a place and they let him fly his girlfriend out there, and which she must really love him.
I see something funny in the comments. X of Swords says, 10 of Swords says, I just ordered Androniki. I requested a 55-gallon drum.
That's how I felt when I first got it. I was like, okay, let's give this a shot and see what happens. And after I started using it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be buying this stuff from now on. Um, it's really, really good, y'all. Um, let's see. Here's my Cajun cousin, Katie and Proud. Would like to know, what will the country be like by the end of the year?
Well, the economy is going to take a dip.
Exhausted.
The stock market's going to be up and down like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
Even though the court has just wiped out all Trump's tariffs, he's still going to try to go ahead and impose them. So I see them holding in contempt. And Linda came up with something on her show. Was it my show or her show the other day? And boy, when she said that, I was just having chills from head to toe. My psychic light bulb was going on, and she was so on the money. She saw, and Linda, if I'm misquoting you, then just smack me and biatch smack me. But she said that she saw the courts almost having like their own group of people to enforce their rulings. In other words, if they held somebody in contempt right now, okay, the person's in contempt, but if it's Trump, he goes, well, what are you going to do about it? But the court would have their own, I don't want to say police department, but their own enforcement division. She didn't quite say it like
Well,
that.
it's supposed to be the U.S. Marshals are
Yeah, but
supposed to carry out the orders from the court, but the U.S. Marshals are under
Trump,
the division of the DOJ.
right.
So they don't have, um, the court doesn't have uh, uh, an enforcement arm, I guess, to enforce their rules,
What she was
their
talking about
rulings.
was an enforcement
And,
um,
and I pulled up surveillance record.
that would be separate from
So,
the DOJ. And so, and I see that coming as well. But I mean, it was really,
yeah.
uh, so back to the tariff. Trump is going to say, well, I'm going to do what I want to do. But the thing is, so they've overturned all of his tariffs. In other words, that he can't do it under the economic emergency legislation because it's not an emergency. Thing is, a lot of these countries are still going to be nervous, and like Canada, and I can't blame them, and not want to do business with us unless there's some kind of treaty signed, because they're going to be like, okay, so what if you change your mind again in the future and find some other loopholes, so you think, and hit us with tariffs again? So it's going to take a long time to undo the damage that Trump
Oh
has
yeah.
done. We're having
Yeah.
the tariffs. We're not having the tariffs. It's going to
And
take.
once we get him and his people out of the government, it's not going to be an overnight fix, y'all. It's going to take a while to clean up this mess.
It's just like when Obama took office, he said, roll up your sleeves. We've got a lot of work to do. Notice how when the Dems take over, that they get the economy going well and the economy going smoothly. So they fix it from the mess the Republicans made. Then when the Republicans take over in record time, they screw up the economy, and then Democrats get back in, and it takes Democrats 2 or 3 years to get things back in order, and then they get blamed for not doing anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember when Obama got elected the first time, and I mean, everybody was so hopeful. And then by the time the midterms came around, all these people were so pissed off at him because he didn't wave his magic wand and make everything go away. And it's like, it doesn't work like that, y'all. And then they wound up, giving control to the House and the Senate back to the Republicans, which pretty much hogtied Obama the rest of his term and then the next term.
He still got a lot done.
He still got a lot done, which just shows what a good negotiator he is. And
got the House back. I can't remember. I got one of them.
But that was when
he got the House back. He didn't. We didn't.
I think it was in his second term he got the House back.
Right.
And then he never got the Senate back.
Right.
But he got closer. It was a lot closer, kind of like it is right now, within a couple of votes. So Cindy L was asking, will the Senate take out the parts of the bill that gives Donald the authority to cancel elections?
Well, even if they left it in, and even if it passed the Senate, people would file lawsuits, and it would go to the courts, and the courts would overturn it to say, no, a president does not have unlimited power or authority, specifically power to cancel elections, because that's constitutional. And the Supreme Court would overturn that. So here again, what they're doing is they're flooding the courts. We'll just throw this in and see where it goes. So it's a litmus test, because Donald Trump would love to cancel elections so he can stay president. But his health is not going to hold out. I keep seeing dark clouds around his head area. Yeah. And I don't know if it's stroke or something like that, but he really needs to watch his health. His health does not look good to me.
It's funny. I when I'm at work, I tend to have my spare computer on with the shows running, and I usually have an earbud in, and I don't really get to pay that close attention, but I'm just kind of listening. And somebody I'd never heard of before popped up on the feed and just played in the automatic, rolling of shows coming on. And she was a nurse. She's a nurse, but she also does, this predictions and whatnot. And she was talking about just the other night that she had a vision, and she kept hearing a loud pop from inside his head. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that could be an aneurysm, that could be a stroke, that could be, there's a lot of things that can happen in your head that can really mess you up. So for entertainment purposes only, YouTube, we're just talking here. Um, so it's there's a lot of things to think about, as far as what may or may not happen. Let's see. Joe asked, "Where has Donnie Two Doll's daughter Bianca been?" Um, Ivanka, not Bianca, but who cares? Um, she's still dealing with the fact that she and her husband have more or less been shunned by the socialite group that they were so used to hanging out with.
I
And
see her staying in isolation for a while. You're right, because of her father, and she's being shunned, and you know, um, it's that's how I see it anyway. So I think you're right about that.
yeah, um, so that's what we got for that for you, Joe. Let's see. Rose is asking, will the Tate brothers be extradited back to England? They're only in Florida waiting for the UK trial to start. Isn't that the ones that Barron got his dad to bring to the States? Is that the right? Am I thinking of the right people? Um,
I don't know, but I do. I hear yes, they will be. Um, they will be. They will go. They will be taken back to the UK. There will be a huge hoopla about it, but I see them back there by hook or by crook.
yeah, yeah. Something's gonna. He's gonna have a temper tantrum over it for whatever reason. But for those of you who did not see King Charles's speech from the throne in Canada over the weekend, go on YouTube and watch it. It was just beyond awesome. He was. I really wasn't expecting such a powerful speech from him.
Well,
Um,
that hasn't been done in 50 years since 19, no longer,
yeah, longer than that, not since his mom first became
since
queen.
the 1950s, I think,
Yeah,
in Canada. And, he's really a figurehead of Canadian government, but Canada's independent. But I understand that he really he never mentioned Trump's name, and
not.
in a very kingly way, he blasted Trump and talked about how strong Canada is. And
Oh yeah, that Canada was the. How did he put it? That Canada was the true North and free.
that's right. That's right.
And he was very adamant about that. I was like, "You go, Charles." I mean, not that I'm been that big of a follower of what all they did. Now, I will admit, back around the beginning of the year, I had a really strong vision of William being coronated because
I think
he's
it was
next in
brilliant.
line for the
I
throne.
think
But
I
I
think
didn't see Charles dying.
I
It
think
was
it was
like he stepped down.
I think it was brilliant of Carney. I think that's the guy's name in Canada, to have I'm sorry, to have King Charles come there and speak. I think that was brilliant.
Yeah,
Um,
and I
I think
know
a uniting force for Canadians.
very
And
much so. And they were talking about, you know, if you'd have asked the king to come and do this just a few years ago, most of Canada would have been up in arms over it. He doesn't belong here, da 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 da. And but they were like really supportive and welcoming of him
um,
coming and just letting them know, yeah, we got your back, man. Don't worry.
it's funny that, well, actually, it was also a show of force, and I think the
Yeah,
reason they did it is because Trump, Trump keeps threatening to, annex Canada. They're going to be our 51st. They're going to be our 51st state, and I think by them bringing the king and Carney, them orchestrating all that is sending a message to Trump: do not mess with us. So
yeah,
it was a show of force, and I'm glad they did
absolutely.
that. I'm
Me
very
too.
glad.
And Me too. And like I said, I saw most of the speech. I missed the beginning of it, but I caught the end of it. And it was just, I mean, I had chills up and down my arms. It was such a powerful speech and so well delivered without,
And look at what happened in Canada. I mean, the conservatives were favored to win, but when Trump did those tariffs, bad timing, Donald, and they spent, Trump and his cronies and Musk, they spent all that money in Canada. And I mean, it was just really stupid strategy on Trump's part because it just united Canadians to really put Carney in office. And I think that with Carney winning, I think that's going to be the permanent end of the Maple MAGAs. I really do.
yeah, yeah, I think you're right. Um, let's see. I know you're short on time, so I'm trying to run through our questions. Nancy wants to know, what about the Russians restarting nuclear plants in Ukraine and setting up electric line? Is this going to be a problem?
I haven't heard that. Have you heard
I haven't
anything?
heard about that either. Right now, the big wigs in Russia have all been like flying the coop and getting out of Dodge because Ukraine has started hitting hard.
Well, Ukraine
Rest
has
of the,
Ukraine has airplanes now. They have jets. And I
yeah,
think that when they found out that Ukraine had jets, that's when they all started fleeing and going to different places because they know they have some intelligence reports that Moscow is on Ukraine's hit list. So,
oh yeah. And NATO let Ukraine know when they delivered the jets, you do as you want. What you think is best to do, go for it. There's no blockages or strings put on Ukraine anymore,
and isn't it
like there
funny
was.
how, not funny, but how Putin wanted to weaken NATO and how he played Trump like a fiddle to weaken NATO? And my guides had told me it won't work. And it's not working because
It's not.
how, look at how, um, look at how strong NATO has become in the European Union. And my guides told me
Yeah,
they would in supporting Ukraine. So,
exactly. I mean, Zelensky's going to go down in the history books as probably one of the greatest world leaders of our time.
Trump is going to be
Simply
walking.
because he's reteaching everybody what it is to fight for your freedom.
Trump is going to be walking on his lower lip, thinking,
Hmm.
"What happened,
Exactly.
Ukraine?" Trump could have supported Ukraine, and this would have all pretty much been taken care of. But I
Yeah.
heard the former president of Russia, and I can't pronounce his name, but anyway, talking about, and people email me about this, that there could very well be a World War III, and I think some psychics have predicted it, but I don't see a World War III. I don't.
Mm-mm. No, I see. I mean, yeah, there's going to be more conflicts, and there's still some really bad actors in the world out there that are going to do what they can do to cause as much mayhem as possible. But I really feel like we're starting. We're not there yet, but we're almost to the peak of all of this really bad, crappy stuff. And once we get over that peak and start going back down the hill, swinging it back our way, I think it's going to be, very surprising for a lot of people with how fast it shifts.
Back to Nancy Webb's question, what about Russians restarting nuclear plants in Ukraine and setting up electric lines is going to be a problem? My guides are telling me the Russians won't set up or restart nuclear plants in the Ukraine. If anybody sets up the plants, it'll be the Ukrainians,
Yeah,
not the Russians.
yeah, exactly. Putin does not have the manpower or the money or the collective goodwill of his people to do anything, especially anything positive. He's operated in the negative for so long that nobody trusts anything that he says that he wants to try to do. They just,
Right.
they're like, yeah, no, that's going to be to take us out, and
I see here in the comments that also it looks like Kevin Chandler is not feeling well. So
oh no.
does
Well, y'all say prayer for Kevin as well.
yeah. So Kevin
Um,
Chandler feel better
keep
too.
him hold him up in prayer. I haven't talked to him in a while.
I see Kay Muldoon says I need to try Androniki products. I'm just trying to watch my money right now. Again, we don't work for Androniki. We like
Yeah,
to,
no,
and Andrew's a very nice guy. The thing is, ordering the products will not break the bank. They're, I mean, it's not gonna break the
you can
bank.
go to the department store and pay 3 times as much for skincare products that don't work nearly as good as what you would pay from Andrew. I mean, I've bought both, and there's a big difference in the price. Um, it's really not as expensive as it seems. Um, I'm still on the first packet of stuff I've got. I'm not even halfway through the serum tubes yet.
A little bit goes a long way.
Only 3 that I use regularly all the time, and I'm still is like it's gonna be a while before I even get through those. So, um,
You know,
but
Gordian Knot comes up with a good point. Says a president also has no authority to establish Doge. Only Congress can. And my
that's
feeling is they're gonna. And my feeling is the courts are going to also at some point wipe out Doge as well. Which means when they do that, all of those jobs that were lost, the court's going to say no. You have to hire those people back at full pay,
well,
and they didn't lose their seniority. So
yeah. And
that's what I see coming.
Elon was on CBS this weekend. It's supposed to air
Oh, he and Trump
this
are going
coming
at
week.
it. He and Trump are going at it because he criticized
He was laying some dirt down about, all the hard work we did, and he's undoing it in one bill and blah 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 blah. Blah. I mean, yeah, it was. I knew it was coming. I knew, hey Jeffro, I knew it was coming that they were gonna, you know, lock horns, but Elon wasn't pulling any punches. He was with the few little clips that they've let kind of sneak out, for the interview that he did. A
well,
lot of
he
the
thought he was the
interesting
boss. Must
sequences.
thought he was the boss, and he's finding out. He was getting too much attention, but I think what Trump allowed Musk to do, the courts are going to say was illegal. Can't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
He's
what
going to be lucky if he doesn't see jail time over it because he and his children that he had running around there were into things and messing in things that they weren't cleared to do. I mean, um,
now. Nancy
I
Webb.
worked in the medical field for over 30 years. I well know what it is, the trouble you can get into for breaking HIPAA laws, and it's like, you don't, I mean, the last job I had in the medical field was when I was in Phoenix. And it was like every couple of years, I had to go through another background check and another fingerprint check because of the fact that I had access to patient information from how many warts they had to what their bank accounts looked like, and they were really strict about what you have access to and to make sure that you don't do anything you're not supposed to. It's like, well, if I'd have been a crook, I'd have been having a field day, but it was a lot. It's a lot of responsibility when you're
Not
in that
not to
position.
change the subject, but Nancy Webb just broke that Elon leaving tonight per ABC. I I don't know. I haven't been watching, so we'll have to
Wow.
look it out. Suki Lau comes up with something. She says, "I'm tired of Trump and his foolishness. We all are.
Aren't we all?
As for the Supreme Court, I don't have any trust in them. Many of us don't, but they're not allowing Trump to get by with all these shenanigans because he thought he had the Supreme Court in his hip pocket, and as it turns out, he doesn't have them in his pocket as much as he thinks he does. So
No. I mean, the damage that they could have done had they have taken it slow and just trickled out a little bit at a time to where people weren't really paying attention. Um, I mean, thank God they didn't do that, but I mean, they would have been far more successful in the long run um, than uh, uh, than they did by gangbustering it in and just shoving it down everybody's face. Um,
I,
like I was saying, what was it last night when we were on? Um, the one of the strong impressions I keep getting is this need to hurry coming from Trump, and then you're like, hurry up, we're running out of time, hurry up, we got to get this and this and this done. And so it's like they know that they're running out of time to get stuff done.
a
Um,
lot of people are in the comments. Or Deborah Robinson says Trump has released GANG. I don't know what that is. Leader Larry Hoover in Chicago. I feel Trump did this for a reason. Do you think he let him out to cause mayhem in Chicago? The answer to that, I feel, is yes. I don't know who GANG. I don't know what those initials mean. So if
yeah,
you're,
I don't know who that is, but
please don't use the initials. Spell it out because sometimes we just don't know what.
that helps us a lot. I mean, we um, we
Sometimes I,
try to keep up, but it's too much. I can't keep up.
but I do
Yeah,
think.
Rose, you're right. I mean, I work at a university. I can have a student's parents call up demanding information on their child, and it's like, I'm sorry, I can't give you that information. They're an adult. You have to go through them. You know, we get some pissed off parents. Let me tell you,
So, so, so Deborah,
because they're like, we're paying the bill, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're an adult. You got to
here's
talk to
where
them. So
here's where I was going with Deborah's question, though. That Trump did it, yes, to try to cause mayhem in Chicago, yes. However, these people that Trump pardoned, he pardoned them on the federal level. The state can still pick their criminal activity up and prosecute them on the state level.
right,
And
right. Yeah, the president can pardon federal, but not state.
that's exactly what I see coming with Larry Hoover. So,
Yeah,
he's pardoning all these criminals, and they tend to be people that have paid for their pardons or something that they can do for Trump. But even though he's pardoned them, I still see many of them in trouble with the states. So there you go.
yeah, exactly. Let's see. Uh, oh, there's Deborah's. Yeah, I had it start. I was looking for it.
Acadian,
Um,
Acadian Proud says, I was literally typing into chat that question about whether the pardon will be found to be illegal. When you answered it, she said, great minds think alike.
there we go. She is so sweet, and she's Cajun too. From from the Nova Scotia side. So we laugh about being Cajun cousins. And let's see. Sage is asking. She's heard that there's a new variety of COVID going around. Yeah, I've heard that in China, not here.
Well, I think there's going to be
And I
another.
don't know how accurate it is.
I think it's going to be another epidemic, but it's not going to be the shutdown like we did before because
No,
his regime will push it under the carpet. But the news media will get it. And speaking about public health, uh, about the only good thing I can say about RFK Jr. is that he's really going hard against these food additives that I've been against for years, putting these food
yeah,
additives that are harmful to our health. But he's going to go down. He's after the Trump regime is over, RFK Jr. He's shunned by his family. His political career has ended after this.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, um, it, what really upsets me with that is the amount of children who are either going to be gone and not able to return or get a long-term, lifelong disability from some of these diseases that we had eradicated.
Right.
All they had to do was get a damn vaccine when they were a kid, and you're good for life, you know.
Right. Right.
And because of their nonsense, you know, now you have. I mean, I grew up with a girl a year older than me who got measles when she was a baby, and it went into her eyes and it destroyed her optic nerves. She lost her eyesight because of it, you know. Um, I remember another kid from school just before the smallpox vaccine got real popular who passed. I remember when they showed up for the smallpox vaccine at school. I was in first grade, and they literally lined all the kids up in the hallways. There was two nurses and a doctor. The first nurse came by, swabbed your arm with alcohol. The doctor came by, pow, hit you with that shot, and then another nurse was right behind him to put that little plastic cap over the top of it and tape it down. And you weren't allowed to take that off until the pox formed and fell off. And then
We
you could
weren't allowed to go to school, like to go.
yeah.
When we went to first grade, we had to get a smallpox vaccine. You had to have your polio shots. I remember, I had my first round of polio shots, and the sugar cube came out, so we took it on the sugar cube. But
Yeah.
we had to have smallpox. We had to have polio. There was another one, DPT shots.
There's mumps,
Diphtheria,
rubella,
pertussis, and
and chicken pox.
I had chicken pox. I was never vaccinated against measles because I had measles. But here again, we had to have our vaccinations, so I do believe in vaccines. Rose Blue has
ours. I mean, I got all of the childhood diseases. I got the measles, I got the mumps, I got the chicken pox, but it was so minor. I was so barely sick that, because I was vaccinated against it, it didn't really affect me.
They make
maybe
it a big deal. It really isn't. Rose Blue says, this is a good one. IMO. I don't know what IMO is.
In my opinion.
Oh, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Someone.
Not what I know.
What is someone? In my opinion, someone is propping up Tesla shares. Does that stop soon? Tesla will go through the floor 5 minutes after that. I do see it stopping soon, absolutely. And I have said that Tesla is going to go belly up, and Musk is going to lose a huge, huge part of his fortune, as will Trump. So yeah. I don't know what someone is, but whatever. Now, what does IMO stand for?
IMO is in my opinion.
Oh, got it. Okay. See, I don't know all the abbreviations. That's why.
I just happen to know that one because I've used it before. The first time I saw it, I was like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
What's an IMO? I don't know what an IMO is.
What it is either. You can tell I don't.
One of the pluses of working at a university is that a lot of times when I would come across these abbreviations or slang terms, I would go ask some of my student workers, what does that mean? And they would look at me and laugh, and then they'd tell me what it was.
I'm the person that Arthur had to teach to cut and paste. Hello.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Let's see.
I think we've got time for one or two more that I gotta run.
Yeah, that's about it. Kristen Chaffee asked, will El Chapo's family remain in the U.S. or cause any problems here? Because Trump snuck them all in the back door while he was yanking innocent people out their homes and shipping them to El Salvador.
Isn't it amazing to you how he they haven't done anything, El Chapo has, but his family hasn't. But yet he doesn't scrutinize them. He sneaks them in. And the hypocrisy is he's deporting innocent people who are Latino. It blows me away.
I know. It's like, what did they had to have paid a pretty penny for him to look the other way, because we all know how he feels about brown people, or
entertainment purposes only. If you depend, this is just my psychic opinion. whatever you pay Cheetolini depends on whether or not you stay in this country or you get your pardons.
Yeah, and whether or not down the road you can live with yourself for what you've decided to do. I mean,
We have a felon for president. What do you expect?
exactly.
Uh,
I mean,
Rose
you
Blue
know,
said his cheese done flew off his cracker. Rose
I
Blue,
know what movie that came from. I remember it.
yeah. Oh, it was what
It was
was that? The Help?
Shawshank. No, The Green Mile. That was from The
The
Green
Green
Mile.
Mile. It was the Green Mile. That's right.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
such a good movie.
Rose Blue gave you $2, Shari.
Oh, thank you, Rose. And she's a sweetheart, absolute sweetheart. Um,
Here's one more. I found it. Cool Ant 516 says, "Will Rick Scott be voted out of the Senate when he runs again?"
I'm hearing no.
Um, I see a Democrat in that position.
Yeah,
That's what I hear.
will Rick Scott get reelected? Will Rick Scott get reelected? No, no, I'm getting a no. So, um,
Susan S. said, "Could you see how dollars the summer's airfare will be?" I think airfares aren't going to go up that much. You know, gasoline goes up, the prices will go up, but
yeah,
you know, travel, I think airfare will still be affordable.
yeah, there might be a little spike, but I think so much stuff is going to kind of start leveling out, especially um, now that the courts have said, you know, laid down the law that Donald can't do the tariffs. That's illegal, unconstitutional. That has to go through Congress. Um, I think once that happens and things start leveling out price wise, I think it'll keep those prices down. Um, it might there might be a little bump, um, no more so than what we're used to. Like holiday time, prices go up, because they're gonna make some extra money. Everybody's flying, but and it'll just also, I think, what they're showing me is it's gonna depend on whatever this epidemic is that's coming up. I don't see it as a pandemic, but I see it as an epidemic.
Uh,
So
Becky Bednards wants to know. She says, "Now that Elon has everyone's info, will he manipulate any future elections using our social security numbers and driver's license numbers with Starlink?" Well, number one, I see the government and a lot of governments canceling their contract with Starlink, and
Canada already did.
I see a lot of countries, and I see
Yeah.
Starlink coming down. I mean, it might stay in the sky, but maybe other companies will buy it. He can try to manipulate elections, but I see that all of those things he's gotten, like our social security, our driver's license, I see the federal government seizing that a lot sooner than later and putting it in a secure database that nobody can get to. So he'll have to relinquish all that information. He'll still try to buy elections, but he's really realizing that his trying to buy elections ain't working, and he spent a lot of money, and so
Oh yeah.
he's going to lose a huge portion of his fortune, as will Trump. So that's what I see.
Unexpected result. That's what he got.
There you go.
He thought it was all wrapped up, but it kind of.
My dear, I've got to run.
I know you got to go. Thank y'all for coming. I'm sorry we couldn't get to everybody's question, but
We got a lot of them out
we'll
of the
be
way.
back. yeah, we'll be back. So, what, 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 what the hell day is it? I don't know. Um, if Arthur's up for it, he'll be on tomorrow night doing a show. I know Marina is going to have Trish James, who does the creepy kids cards that what Arthur calls them.
Arthur's going to
For
be on
prediction
tomorrow.
day.
Arthur's going to be on tomorrow with you doing a show, or
No, not with me. A solo show. He's doing a solo. I'm just doing backstage for him.
I got it.
And I've got slumber party Saturday night. Y'all know anything goes at the slumber party. You can ask any question you want.
What time is Arthur's show tomorrow night?
7:30 p.m. Central Time.
There you go. All right, everybody, watch.
So unless he cancels because he's still not feeling good, then that's on as far as I know. And
All right. When is our next other side of the coin?
that is on June 27th.
Good.
And I'll be hosting.
And what's the
We're
topic?
going to be talking voodoo.
Yay.
So, what's real voodoo? What's fake voodoo? What's Hollywood produced voodoo?
Kind of like fake news.
Pretty much, yeah. And all of that. So, in fact, Aiden already made the thumbnail for me. So, and he said, I'll be there to run backstage. I'm like, great. So that's wonderful.
He's so cool. Aiden's really cool.
I know. He's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
I
All
love
right,
him.
Shari, I got to run. Everybody.
All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you soon.
All right.
Bye for now.